Welcome to Business Review, a daily program that delves into the latest and most significant economic stories, from stock markets to currency news. Business Review covers the most up-to-date developments in the global financial world.
Southwest China's Tibet Autonomous Region has been at the forefront of the country's efforts to promote green development, making remarkable strides in the conservation of the ecosystem over the past 5 years. With the emphasis on promoting the development of ecological civilization, Tibet has stepped up protection of its natural resources, such as grasslands, wetlands, and forests, as it continues to seek the balance between economic growth and ecological conservation. The past few years has seen the area of water bodies in the Lalu Wetland National Nature Reserve of Lhasa expand by around 30%, and the number of migratory birds increased to over 15,000 in 2019, more than doubling the number seen back in 2015. In recent years, the State Administration of Forestry has invested more than 40.63 million yuan to improve infrastructure in the reserve, including construction of management and protection stations, monitoring points, a wildlife rescue center, and the purchase of vehicles and equipment. So far, Tibet has designated a total of 538,800 square kilometers in 74 counties and districts for ecological conservation and built 47 nature reserves of various types with a combined area of 412,000 square kilometers, leading the country in nature reserve construction.
The World Economic Forum announced on Wednesday that it decided to postpone its upcoming annual meeting in Davos in Switzerland due to safety concerns and in an effort to slow the spread of COVID-19. The meeting, originally scheduled for January, will be rescheduled to early next summer, according to Adrian Monk, Managing Director of Public Engagement at the Forum. Monk stressed that the decision was not taken easily, since the need for global leaders to come together to design a common recovery path and shape the Great Reset in the post-COVID era is so urgent. The World Economic Forum's annual summit in Davos is routinely one of the globe's largest collections of world leaders and corporate executives. This year's gathering, which took place over 4 days starting January the 21st, featured commentary from the European Central Bank President Christine Lagarde, among others. The forum also announced Wednesday that instead of the in-person session, it will host a high-level digital forum called Davos Dialogues during the weekend of January 25, 2021. Monk said the platform will feature global leaders and offer them a chance to present ideas on the state of the world in 2021. The organization said details on the new dates and location of the rescheduled in-person forum will be made available as soon as they are assured that all conditions are fulfilled to guarantee the health and safety of the participants and the hosting community.
German Health Minister Jens Spahn said on Wednesday, August 26, that Germany wants to adopt a mandatory free coronavirus tests for returning travelers it introduced early this month to stop a rise in new cases, citing capacity constraints at laboratories. The free tests were introduced in the first week of August after new coronavirus cases breached the 1,000-a-day threshold for the first time since May, fueling fears of a return to painful lockdowns. A rule requiring travelers returning from areas that Germany considers as hotspots to self-quarantine for 14 days will remain. The quarantine can be lifted 5 days after arrival at the earliest with a negative test result. Compulsory tests for those travelers will stay in place. The minister said, however, that should mandatory tests be scrapped, local authorities will have to intensify monitoring to ensure returning holidaymakers abide by quarantine rules. Many details still have to be finalized, such as whether tests for returnees from risk regions should remain free of charge and when the new rules should kick.
The Year of Scientific and Technological Innovation between China and Russia opened on Wednesday via video link with the Chinese Vice Premier Sun Chunlan and her Russian counterpart Tatiana Golikova attending the event. The Chinese Vice Premier said over 1,000 events had been held under consensus thanks to the joint efforts made by the two countries. The Chinese President Xi Jinping pointed out China and Russia are each other's biggest neighbors. In facing the pandemic, Xi said China and Russia have supported each other and held the China-Russia Year of Scientific and Technological Innovation as scheduled. For his part, President Vladimir Putin said the scientific and technological innovation is one of the most promising areas of cooperation, which determines the future development of the two countries, and it's key to improving the living standards in both the countries. During his visit to Russia in June last year, Xi announced along with President Putin that the two countries would designate 2020 and 2021 as Year of Scientific and Technological Innovation.
French Prime Minister Jean Castex said on August 26th, France will erase the €100 billion or about $117.89 billion cost of its coronavirus economic recovery plan from its debt burden by 2025. Castex said the recovery plan would focus on supporting companies and domestic production rather than spurring household demand, stressing that the recovery plan should not weigh on public finances. The government expects its public sector budget deficit to hit an unprecedented 11.4% of economic output due to measures to support the economy through the coronavirus crisis, pushing the nation's debt burden to nearly 121% of GDP. Castex added that additional debt to finance the plan would be wiped out over 5 years, thanks to the boost from injecting the equivalent of 4 points of GDP into the Eurozone's second biggest economy. The French government will unveil details of the post-pandemic rescue plan to hold the €2.3 trillion economy on September 3rd. The government has already said Monday will be pumped into creating jobs, especially for young people, and training for those who lost their jobs during an unprecedented recession. Some €30 billion will target investment in tackling climate change. France will receive €40 billion in European Union subsidies to meet the initial cost of the recovery.
The French Minister of Education, Jean-Michel Blanquer, said on Wednesday, August the 26th, that masks will be compulsory for adults and children aged 11 and above returning to schools in France. According to the minister, more than 12 million pupils head back to school on September the 1st, and schools will have to abide by new regulations. Before the summer, schools in France had closed on March the 16th during the confinement aimed at fighting the spread of the virus. Meanwhile, in Myanmar, all schools were ordered to close after reporting 70 new cases on Wednesday, its biggest daily rise as authorities tried to tackle a resurgence of the virus following weeks without confirmed domestic transmission. Myanmar's outbreaks has been relatively small compared with other countries in the region, with just 6 deaths and 574 infections in total, but an increase in COVID-19 cases by nearly 35% in just over a week is causing some concern. The virus resurfaced in Myanmar on August the 16th after a month without community transmission, with the majority of the cases in Sittwe area.
This has been Business Review, your daily source for the most critical financial stories. Tune in next time for the latest financial news impacting the world economy.